Hey everyone, welcome to Integrated Rhythm. We're here with Crystal Johnson. Maybe you don't know who Crystal Johnson is. Well, Crystal Johnson is a Harvest Moon Ball Lindy Hop winner from 1972. She is a Mamalu Parks dancer, and she is the daughter of none other than Thomas Topps Lee, one of the great Whitey's Lindy Hoppers, one of the original Whitey's Lindy Hoppers, who himself won the Harvest Moon Ball in 1940. Which makes it, as far as we know, the only time that a parent and their child have both won the Harvest Moon Ball. This is part one of a two-part conversation with Crystal. In this part, we mainly discuss her time growing up, training with Mamalu Parks, and winning the Harvest Moon Ball. In part two, we cover her father, Whitey's Lindy Hopper Thomas Topps Lee, her coming back into the swing dance world, and her thoughts on how racism has changed since she was younger. If you don't know who Mamalu Parks and her dancers are, Mamalu Parks was a Savoy hostess who loved Lindy Hop. After Herbert Whitey White passed away, Mamalu made it her mission to keep the flame of Harlem performance Lindy Hop alive. To help her, she brought in great Lindy Hoppers like Al Minns, Gorge and Sugar Sullivan, Lee Moates, and others to train the young dancers. After the Harlem Savoy Ballroom shut down in the 1950s, a new Savoy ballroom opened up in the Bronx called the Savoy Manor. This was the home base for Mamalu Parks and her dancers. They were a close-knit group, practicing all night, every night, babysitting each other's kids, and eating dinner together. Mamalu's dancers swept the Harvest Moon Ball's Jitterbug Jive contest during this time. She also had a performance group called Mamalu and her Parkettes that performed extensively in black entertainment. They didn't just perform Lindy, but also other dances, as we'll discuss in today's episode. Mamalu Parks would carry the flame of Harlem Lindy Hop from the 1950s all the way up to her death in 1990. It's one reason why the term swing revival to define the growing popularity of Lindy Hop in the 1980s is not the best term to use. Harlem Lindy didn't have to be revived. It was still alive, and a large part of that thanks goes to Mamalu Parks. A quick note on the audio quality. At the beginning of the interview, there's some background noise when Crystal is talking. Don't worry, that gets taken care of relatively soon after the interview starts. With all of that in mind, we hope you enjoy our conversation with Harvest Moon Ball champ, Mamalu Parks dancer, and Whitey's Lindy hopping daughter, Crystal Johnson.
Rhythm, integrated rhythm with Chisomo and Bobby. One more time. Rhythm, integrated rhythm with Chisomo and Bobby. Yeah.
We are here with the one, the only Miss Crystal Johnson.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
We wanted to make sure that the people who are watching and listening really get an idea of who you are, because Bobby and I know that you're a legend. We know that you are you're a Lindy Hop legend, and we'd love to hear a little bit more about your dad in a bit. But for now, for our viewers who don't know that much about you yet, tell us all the badass things about who you are. We'd like to hear a little bit about your life at the Savoy Manor and working with Mamalu Parks and your peers, the Mamalu Parks dancers. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me start from, wow. I've been dancing like for a long time, like around 8 years old, okay? But it wasn't Lindy Hop. It was like, remember the hopping, the bopping, the twist, and all of that stuff, okay? But I always was dancing. I always danced. I went to Star Time Dance Studio, and Maxine was interviewed last week. I started laughing because I'm like, oh my God, I went there too. But it was just so funny. Mom took all the pictures to California. That's why I don't have no pictures to show. So, to make a long story short, dancing in the Harvest Moon Ball. Where do you want me to start with? Mamalu Parks or the Harvest Moon Ball?
Well, which came first?
The chicken or the egg? Which came first? Okay, which came first? Oh, yeah, okay, let's go with Mamalu. When I was dancing, I just walked into my dream. You might have heard this before, but I walked into my dream because the gentleman I was dating told me that he knew Mama Lou Parks, but I was at the Apollo every Saturday because it was Jocko and Alan Freed and Frankie Crocker. Those were the disc jockeys that had it going on. They had the Motown reviews and all of that stuff. And I would go down every Saturday. That's when you could pay like little or nothing and sit through the whole show till midnight. You didn't have to move it. You could watch the show 3 times. Okay. So and I said, I want to be in that group. I used to watch them. So the gentleman said to me, well, come on, I want to stop by my friend's house and so. And I was like, okay, I'll go with you. But he knew I wanted to dance with the Parkettes. I didn't believe that he knew them. You know how when somebody tell you something, you go, yeah, okay, yeah. So knocked on the door, and opened the door. And David came and was in front of Miss Parks, right? Then when David let us in, and then Miss Parks came out, and then it was all these costumes, and I was like, oh my God. He said, I told you. He said, I told you. He said, Miss Parks, you want to dance. And that was it. That, like, I walked into my dream. I did not, it was crazy. It was like, yeah.
That's amazing.
And that day that I walked in, it was Gloria Thompson. They was packing to go on tour with James Brown for 6 months. For 6 weeks, I'm sorry. For 6 weeks, they was going on tour with James Brown. And I was 15 then. I was 15 then, yeah. Now, when we then we danced, but you couldn't really dance in the group until you was like Harvest Moonball champion. That was the stimulation, at least when the junior Parkettes came in, because it was 4 of us. It was me, Maxine, T, and Laverne Seabrooks. Okay, because the other, David and them were older than us. So they were allowed to go certain places because we weren't of age yet. So we had to, so we held it down in the States and they was traveling. So we got the Smokey, we got all the Apollo stuff. And it was just like, yeah, man, it was like awesome. But I didn't win the Harvest Moon Ball till 72 because I had all of them people in front of me that I thought I could beat. It was like, I could beat them. I could beat them. Yeah, okay. I knew I couldn't, but my first time I competed, I came in 3rd.
Okay.
So my first time I competed in the Harvest Moon Ball, I came in 3rd. Okay, and that was with my partner Wilbur. If you go on my page, you'll see all of that. Okay, and the night I won was like, girl, please. It was awesome. You hear me? And the practices we had, they were awesome. Like they were sturdy. Sullivan was my teacher. George Selly, we call him Selly, Pop Selly. It was awesome. It was just like, wow. When I talk about it, I think about it and I be like, wow, like I really did that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I'm still going. I am still going to this day. Yes, I am not stopping. No.
But dance is part of your entire life. Like this is such an important thing. I think, dance is just such a part of our society. And
yes, absolutely.
And it's amazing to see you having started professionally dancing when you were 15 and then doing that your entire life. That's truly admirable.
I couldn't, and that's funny, when you've been called to do something, because when I wasn't, I was just stationary for a minute, and I would watch the shows on the TV and I'd be like, I'm supposed to be there. It's like I don't care what I did. I don't care. It was always coming back to that. I was not happy until I got back to that. It was, and I sang professionally for like 17 years and I love my choir, but I'm telling you, you know when you are supposed to do something and share it. Don't be stingy with it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and like I love it. Like that's all I want to do.
Yeah, that's a whole word right there. If you know when you're called to do something, don't be stingy with it. Share it.
Yes.
Share it.
Because you can't take it with you.
No.
You know, and through my walk of dance, I've seen a lot. And then when I came back in, it was like, well, what is going on? Like, I don't remember, like, the whole thing changing, which I understand because it's a different era. Okay, it's a different era. I understand the dance, I understand everything, but we should always learn from our roots. I mean, even, you know, like, and now, like, it's really crazy. Okay, like, it was a epiphany, a wake-up call for what has happened in the past year or so. It's been a big wake-up call to that industry, and like actually what do you call it, recognizing and stop bashing. And I want to say this so bad, we got to stop turning our noses up at people, at our people who set the way for us, because we still getting that. Okay, I understand that what's going on. Okay, I understand the understanding of everyone wanting to learn and apologizing for not understanding. I definitely understand that, but you still have some here and there that still turn their nose up at you and think that they're better than you. But then you forget that, and they're younger than me. So I'm talking to the younger crowd. And some of you older ones too. Okay, let me give you an experience. I went to an affair, and it was Norman Mill. All of us took pictures that night. It was at the Kennedy Center. And I met a young lady, and she was so glad to meet me. But when she found out after who I was, the next time I seen her, it was, and I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, that's what I'm saying. We can't do that if you want to share and get. That irritates me so bad. That it really does. Because I feel if you want to learn it, I'm a teacher. Okay. Now, it's just because you don't like a person, why you don't like a person? Don't let that person stop you from doing what you want to do. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's in our neighborhood. It's in us. Okay. It's in the people of color. They act funny towards people of color. They really do. And you know what I mean? They really do. And it's like, why? We're all, at the end of the day, we're all shooting for the same thing. The same thing, to teach, not to be better than you or better than this one. It's just that the eras are different eras. So we got different portions and different chapters. You see what I'm saying? So like, if they could just comprehend that and don't be saying, oh, well, they used to dance with so-and-so and they did. Stop it. Because that hinders the dance. That hinders when somebody say something about somebody, that when you see them, you mad. What you mad for? Because of what somebody said. Have an open heart and an open mind when it comes to this thing, because I'm serious about mine. And I'll tell a person in a minute, why are you acting like that? Did I do something to you? Like, confront it. If you don't confront it, it'll keep on going. Until you actually walk to it and confront it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those words of wisdom, because we don't always realize how our actions or our attitudes are impacting our community, and there's something to be learned everywhere. But I mean, especially from our elders, right? And so it is so important for us to respect our elders, like you said. this is a gift that you have passed on to us, and it's important for us to recognize, like you said,
Yeah.
you mentioned the eras. Like there are different eras of dancers, and
Yes.
things might be done a little bit differently, not better, not worse, different. But
It's just different. Yes.
especially when we think about our elders and our eldership, like
Yes.
we owe you so much. So
Oh,
I'm sorry that you've had people either
but that,
like
but that's, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's in a general thing.
yeah.
That is because I sit back and watch how people are treated, and it's just like, why? And another thing that I don't approve of, stop taking your stuff off of. Now, I'm not saying everybody on YouTube or Facebook or whatever you look at is it was something Ryan Francis said, like, go to your elders, the ones who paved the way, so you learn the right way and the truth.
Mm.
See, because a lot of people go by hearsay, and instead of checking on what they heard, they take it and it starts to melt and manifest, and it's, you know what I'm saying? So find out from the elders, because I found out from my elders. Okay, Miss Parks, all of them was my elders. Sullivan, he's 90 years old, like, and Sugar and them, like, they're my elders. And I love all my mentors because they're the ones that paved the way for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I love that. Like, and like, once you realize that just because they're Black, okay, you know, I'm gonna put it right there. Just
Please
just
do.
because they're Black, okay, it's like, oh, they don't know or they don't do, no, that's wrong. Nuh-uh, because we got some bad behind people that came out of Harlem, from Cecily Tyson to Frankie Manning to Norman Miller. Come on now. Come on now. Even the rappers, we got Jay-Z and Beyonce in it. Come on. Come on. So to act like that is it just irritates me. You know, like, I think we should really get it together and just share with each other and stop bashing each other.
Yeah.
That's another thing. We put each other down all the time, and then when you realize, and I gotta tell you this, wait a minute. This was the funniest thing. We was at I was at an affair, and it was Norman Miller's birthday. That's when she was in Italy. And a lady, a Caucasian lady, I'm gonna keep it real, she treated me and Maxine so nasty. She didn't know who we was. Okay. Oh, she was so nasty. Oh my God. We went upstairs and she kept giving us the eye, and we was like, what's wrong with her? She, like, really. But then when we was introduced, it was like, that's why you got to be careful who you act around, because you never know who you are entertaining.
It's true.
Her mouth was like, oh my God. But then she says, when sometimes people can't clean it up, they still act the same way. But I saw her reaction when I treated them like that. For no reason at all. So that's why I said, learn from the elders, get to our elders, and let's keep it real, man. Because I'm not gonna lie about nothing. What I know, and if I don't know it, I don't know it. I ask somebody else. You know, because if we don't ask, we're not gonna know.
Yeah. I mean, just that right there is so important. You know, a lot of people, and I mean, I also understand the pressure to try to seem a certain way or to seem like you know some stuff, but like out of the mouth of an elder right here, you know, if you don't know, say, you know, and if you know, then
if you don't know, you don't know.
If you don't know, you don't know. But if you know, say it with your chest, right? Like,
and another thing, stop stealing people's stuff.
Mm.
Ask, because all you can get is a no. Okay, but if you, this goes to everybody. Like, if you want to do anything or film anybody, or anybody in the family or something that you like, don't put it up without asking for their permission. I don't care if it was up before, but if you're in that circle, you know, that you like to snatch stuff, ask, because it happened to me. So ask, because there's nothing like asking. If they would have asked, I would have said yes. But they asked and I said no, because it was too late after what you had did. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to show a film of my dad and Wilder, ask me if it's okay. Okay, you know, like, or me, or like, yeah, and I got stuff, you know, how everybody snapshot,
Yeah.
that's fine, okay, but I don't want to see nothing without asking me, because it's only the right thing to do. Don't put nothing up there that you didn't ask if you could put it up, because then you're gonna get embarrassed. And you know, we in our nature be like, oh no, we're not having this. I'm gonna get her. Bing. Him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh no, I got to put this in a nice way. No, we can't have this, because if you don't stop it, it's gonna keep going. If you don't speak on it, it's gonna keep going. Once somebody recognizes what's happening and going on, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't do that, or maybe I can do it another. No, you can't. Just do it the right. If you do things the right way, the right things will come to you.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I truly believe in that. Yes.
Yeah.
So what was training like at the Savoy Manor, or what was life like at the Savoy Manor when you were like, what was the recipe? What was the cooking going on?
Our training. I wouldn't give up my training for nothing in the world, the training that I had, because the training that I had has put me to where I am. It was discipline, and and one thing we didn't do, we didn't get mad at Sullivan and Lee Moates. He was awesome, God. Yeah, he was an awesome dancer. He was with Sully too. We never got mad at them. Like, it wasn't like, no, strict. Okay, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do it right. When he yelled, we was like, oh, okay. We danced our butts off. We practiced. We didn't even want to go home. That's how much we practiced, like 3 hours straight. Then we walk across the bridge. Everybody walk across the bridge, across 145th Street Bridge, because we used to walk across that bridge and go right to the Savoy Manor. And we had so much fun. I wouldn't give those years up for nothing. That was the training, the discipline, and all the champions that came through there. That's what's awesome. Everybody before me was champ. Like, it's like amazing. Miss Parks had it going on with that Harvest Moon Ball. She had it going on, because when she gave it every year, there wasn't you could only stand in the ballroom. It was standing room only. Everybody in Harlem knew this is the night of the Harvest Moon Ball. They going. The night of the semifinals and the night of the Harvest Moon Ball. That was the thing in Harlem. Everybody knew where it was. Tickets sold out. It was absolutely fabulous every year. And the costumes were like glittery and beautiful, like real, like glamour, like Hollywood. And that's the kind of Harvest Moon Ball I want to see still. I want to see like them dressed like in the glamour stuff, in the stuff that we wore. That's why I say it's a different era. See, the era was different. Oh, let me show you something. You're gonna smile. This is the first, wait a minute. This is the Harvest Moon Ball brochure from 1949.
Hey.
Wow.
This is from 1949.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I was only 1 year old then.
Oh.
1949. And that's the ballroom championship dancer. Isn't that beautiful?
That is beautiful.
Isn't that awesome? I'm like, wow. I'm like, wow. Wow. That's how long and famous. And the Harvest Moon Ball, I just wish they could bring it back to the garden. I just wish they could do it. That ballroom dancing and all of those other dances are just fabulous. Everybody was just on their top game. That's what it was. Everybody was on their top game. And each year, from before I danced, the prize money went up like more and more and more, because you got money for first, second, and third prize, and a big thing of roses and pictures and all the fun, all the glamour. That it was fun. It was fabulous. Absolutely.
You know how we here at Integrated Rhythm love to support Black-owned businesses, and guess what? Crystal Johnson is a Black-owned businesswoman, meaning that she owns a Black business, not that she's owned by a Black businesswoman, although she is the Black businesswoman who owns the business that is Crystal Johnson. So technically both are true, although they are awkward to say. You can hire Crystal Johnson for her services. You can hire Crystal Johnson to give a talk. You can hire Crystal Johnson to do interviews. And once this crazy quarantine is over, you can hire Crystal Johnson to teach or to train and coach. That's a fantastic way to not only help keep the flame of Harlem Lindy Hop going, but also to support its Black American pioneers and to keep them in the scene. So if you want to get in touch with Crystal Johnson, just email lindyhopchamp@yahoo.com. That's all one word, lindyhopchamp@yahoo.com. Hey everybody, this is Bobby White from Integrated Rhythm. We're here to ask you to please consider donating to the podcast. You can do so by going to patreon.com/integratedrhythm. You can do so by Venmoing @BobbySwungover. And make sure to put a little IR in the note so we make sure it goes to the right people. You can also do so by PayPaling @BobbyWhite3. And once again, putting a little IR in the window there. Doing so will help us keep this podcast going, and we love doing it, and we hope you love it too. If you can't afford to donate at this time because times are rough, we totally understand. We don't want you to put yourselves out. We want you to keep enjoying the podcast for free. However, if you have a little bit of pocket change in your pocket, we would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thanks and have a great day.
We're back.
So let's see. You had to dance in the Savoy Manor prelims, and then get on to the finals, and then you got to the garden, and then you had to dance. What, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
2 minutes nonstop.
2 minutes nonstop
That's
at a blazing
That's
tempo.
the era change. That's the era change. Yes, 2 minutes nonstop, air steps, everything, no slow motion. It wasn't slow motion when we was doing it.
Oh.
Now the era before that, when our dad was dancing, I noticed that some of them was doing like they not in our era. It was strictly
no slow motion, sprinting. For
it wasn't no like, because that slow motion is like a rest, like
Yeah.
We did straight through 2 minutes.
Damn.
2 minutes, and then I danced the tie off, and that was awesome.
That's right.
That was awesome. That I had to fight for that spot.
Man, so how did
it was a lot of us going for first place, and I said, no, nah. Me and Dougie said, not today.
Oh man, so you dance your butts off for the first round, and then it turns out you have to do a tie. Do you remember what you were feeling at that moment?
Yeah. Nervous, scared, like, oh my God. Because when we found out it was a tie, it was like, what? 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 Oh my God. Oh my God. So we had plan 2 of the routine. Instead of opening up like we did in the first routine, the second routine, we opened up with 3 air steps. and we was flying. We flew. We broke that because the idea was not to do the same thing that you opened up with the first time. You had to surprise the judges. So when they saw me and Dougie do a jump into a double neck snatch and then over the head, and then we banged out and started doing the stew, it was over. I kid you not. Yeah, we was laughing, we was moving, man. We was like, we got this, yeah.
Oh man. Did anyone capture this on film? Were there any cameras at your Harvest Moon balls?
Well, I understand that the Harlem Swing Society has a film of me and Dougie at the Harvest Moon Ball. Yeah, down at that library that they have the archives at or something. That we was there last year. We was there last year with Sugar and all of us was down there. Yeah, because I got pictures of it with all of us in the group, with Joya and all of us in there, David.
At Columbia?
That one, that night, she told me that she has a film clip of me. Yeah, and I think Chester has one too, the same thing, but he's never, he's busy, so I don't even bother him. But yeah, that's what I've never seen it. So I was like, oh, really? Because I've been looking for it, and I couldn't find it. But somebody said they found one. I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Well, I really hope that gets put out there sometime, because one of the things
I
about
think you can do that when it's in that library. I think you have to go there to see it.
Interesting.
I think, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Well, one of the sad things about the Mamalu Parks generation is that because of all those newsreels, we have lots of footage of the Harvest Moon balls from the 30s and 40s, but we have hardly any from the 60s and 70s, and that's really sad because it's watching the dancers and seeing them dance that is the way that you really keep that alive,
absolutely.
That generation alive.
They kind of wrote us off, but then when Crystal got back on the scene, I was like, no, they're not. And I'm gonna tell you the funniest thing. You ever watched Godfather of Harlem? You ever saw the series?
I don't think so.
Okay. And in the opener, guess who's opening it up?
Hey,
the Parkettes.
Godfather of Harlem.
Yeah, the Godfather of Harlem, because last year when I was watching it, I saw, the promo part before the series started. And I'm like, that's Edward. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. I'm like, that's us opening up the Godfather, that series. Now, I don't know what it'll be this year, because I think the series starts next week or something. But I do know all last year they had us, the Parkettes, we was on there. And I put it on Facebook. I said, I missed this one. Did anybody see this? Yeah.
Oh, that's really neat.
And nobody never knew. Nobody even, we never got recognized for that or nothing. But yeah, the Parkettes are in that promo.
Well, this is one of the, and you were kind of talking about this earlier too. We have incredible people like yourself who have contributed to a truly American art form, a truly American cultural art form. And if you were if we were to change skin colors, right, and you were white,
it'd be completely different.
It'd be completely different. So the way that I try to, sorry, go ahead.
That's so sad. And that's sad. That's just sad.
It is. So when we talk about recognition, when we talk about, because there's presence in movies and TV shows and clips and stuff, but some of y'all should have been recognized to the level of some household names, like we know Fred Astaire, Bing Crosby. There are all these different names that we know, and there's a bunch of names that we don't know that have contributed to where we are right now. And Harlem, like you said, has been the center point of so much of what the world recognizes as
absolutely
good music and good dancing.
yes.
But the people who develop those styles are unnamed. And
Yes.
so it is really, and so, and oftentimes, like you said, like yourself, you run into situations where you'll be out and about, you'll be at these different events, and people will treat you in a particular way, having no idea who you are.
And I'm not one to point out who I am, so I just let it go until, like the old saying, don't pat yourself on the back, let somebody else pat you on the back. You know what I mean? It was something I was getting ready to say concerning, it'll come back to me, the dance. But yeah, I think that we really need to love one another. I mean, because like I said earlier, at the end of the day, it's all about the Lindy. It ain't about you, it ain't about me. It's about carrying on the dance. Okay, if you were taught to dance, I mean, if you feel, you know, like learn it and teach it. Don't hold it back. Don't be saying stuff and don't down nobody, because I've seen some awesome dancers. Okay, and I've seen some whack dancers. Okay. That I'm saying, oh, no. Okay. And it's just amazing. I remember when I was rehearsing, and I had said this before, when I fell, and I never fell on stage or anything, but I fell in rehearsal. That thing knocked all the wind out of me, girl. Sullivan said, if you get up, just get up. Like and I was up there, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't do nothing. Okay, and that's another thing. When he was teaching us and you dance and you fell, okay, you fell, get up. Don't pity yourself, because the pity is what start making you doubt that you can do it again. When that self-pity come in, oh, I can't do it because I hurt yes, you can, get up and do it again. And I did it again. And I love that air step to this day. That's over the head. That's the one I fell on and hit my elbow, went into my stomach and knocked all the wind out of me. I was done. I was done. Girl, I was done. You hear me? I was done. I was like, oh my God. I said, is it this much pain to win? Okay, all right, let me get up. Okay, because everybody was there. And Sullivan said, y'all move out the way. Get up, girl. Get up. I was like, get up. And I never felt, from that time on. That's because I didn't pay attention. That's right. He told me to look up, like look straight ahead when I went over the head, right? But I looked down, and it took me down. So I learned from that air step to pay attention. Listen to what he said. He told you not to look down, but you look down to see where your feet was going to land. And he already told you how to land. So all I had to do was look forward when I went over the head and said, I'm looking down, and your head is the heaviest. Okay, so that like took me that, girl, this big forehead got me in trouble.
I mean, I can put my whole hand, so and then some.
Yeah.
So
hey, y'all have hey, look at us.
This is what I want to tell you about on the documentary. We was talking about teaching and people not recognizing. In the documentary that I have, it's like 6 hours or so, but it talks about how our Caucasian sisters and brothers couldn't go. They were taught by us backstage, but when they hit the front stage, they couldn't say that they was taught by us. And when I seen that, I was like, wow, because they wouldn't have been able to dance. Yeah, that was deep. I kid you not. Yeah, is that matter of fact, on my page, Miss Parks, Paulette had sent me a piece of the documentary. Okay, and I have it, is in my archive somewhere. It is awesome. And it tells you everything. I got James Brown with the Parkettes, all of that stuff is on there. And when I seen that part, like the history of the era before us, and it was said that they couldn't go. I'm like, really? So they were taught, and the Caucasian brother said it. He said that we were taught by Black folks, but we could not go out there and say that they taught us. So we've been like outcasts for a minute, yo. Yeah, that was really interesting to me. I didn't know that. That was just some history. I was like, wow, I got to find it, because is such a good thing. It has Muhammad Ali in it, and the Parkettes, when they was doing the thing, it was James Brown, Muhammad Ali, the Parkettes. It opened up with David Butts talking. Okay, one of the older Parkettes, Mamadou Parks dancers. Yeah, it's really awesome. And if I can find it, I'll let you see that, because it's a minute. You gotta be turning it off and on and turning it off and on. But it's worth the 6 hours. I was like 6 hours.
Wow.
And yeah, that's what I said, Bob. I said, wow, this is really deep. Never knew that. And learn some, and I'm glad I know that. But when you look at that's the history and all of this cabaret stuff. And yeah, man, I remember, shucks. I remember when we was doing the scenes for the college thing. That's when Go-Go was out. Remember the Go-Go and Going to a Go-Go with what's his name? Smokey and them. Yeah, all of that. We did that at the Apollo. We did the Jerk. All of that. I mean, we was in all of that. Yeah, and then we closed with the Lindy Hop.
Yeah, a lot of our listeners might not know that the Mamadou Parks weren't just Lindy Hop. Y'all also did all sorts of other dances.
Yeah, we did jazz. Yeah, and I teach Latin. So I teach Latin dancing. So I don't just teach Lindy Hop, but Lindy Hop is my treasure. That is the first thing I say I teach. I teach Lindy and Latin. Yeah, I'm gonna put up a video that I did at the school. It was awesome. The kids didn't even know how to dance, and they did a fantastic job for non-dancers, and they did it. I could not believe. I was like, wow. That's when when you can actually put a non-dancer, somebody who never danced, and you could put them on stage, and it's like, when they say to you, I never thought I could do this. It's just that feels so good. It does. It feels good. It's like, I can do that. Yeah, you can do it. Come on, let's do it. I don't have no rhythm. Well, we're going to teach you some rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. So Latin is, because I grew up with Latin. I grew up with Eddie Palmieri and Tito Puente and them. Like, we used to go to the Palladium all the time, every Sunday. And it was a dance school. It was me and my cousin Denise, Aunt Nisi, her brother, Edward and Lester and Lily. It was 6 of us. At that time, they didn't have the videos. We didn't have the video cameras, so we couldn't tape none of that. But we would have circles around us when we Latin. Because the Latin at that time, Eddie Palmieri and them was hot in the 70s. Okay. And like, we Latined, oh man. We still talk about that every now and then. We just listen. Remember how we used to turn out the Palladium? We used to turn it out. So, and I stuck with that. Yeah. So that's what I do. Look, what's his name? Kevin Hart say, that's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Crystal.
Yeah.
Who are some of your legends and the people that you looked up to, both on and off the dance floor? Who?
Legends, dances, Fred Astaire. I always loved Fred Astaire. When I was a kid, I always loved Fred Astaire. I know that might sound corny to some of y'all, but yeah.
Fred Astaire is
Yes.
pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I thought that he was the best dancer, okay, outside of my dad.
Mm.
No, I honestly, I thought he was just, and he was an awesome dancer. The Nicholas brothers,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Lindy Hoppers. Oh, I fell in love with Dancing at the Races before I got in the Parkettes, okay? I thought that was the best film ever made, that the Marx Brothers ever made. To this day, I still got it. I can turn it on now and watch it. I love that. And to show you how the era is, by me being so young, when I got into Parkettes, I said to Mama Lou, I seen this movie and they was doing our air steps and they was doing the horse and they was, but she said, no, that was the era. That was the when your dad danced it. Like, and see, that's what I'm saying. We need to pass it down, okay, and tell the truth where it came from, okay? Because I thought I'm like, oh, how they then I said, but wait a minute, they're older than me. But it took me a minute to realize that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that was a highlight in my life. I just loved it because she just laughed when I told her. I was like, they stole our stuff. And in the 60s and 70s, they still had black and white movies. You know what I'm saying? Like the black and white was still on. So I'm like, oh, wow. She was like, no, they didn't steal it. We just carried it on. Okay, in other words, we liked it, we carried it on, y'all like it, y'all carry it on. That's what it is. And like, man, we did jazz and everything. We did a hand jive, that was awesome. At the Apollo, we would just have gloves. Everything would be in strobe, the gloves, the boots, and the costume would be dipped in strobe lights. So when the lights went out in the Apollo, all you saw was the hands and the boots and the costume moved, and you wouldn't see the body. It would just look like we wasn't there. It was just costumes and hands and stuff. That was cool.
Y'all had production.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we always Lindy at the Apollo, but sometimes on the jazz shows we didn't. On the jazz shows like Red Fox, we did the jazz dances because it was like with Red Fox, it was like a comedian show. You know what I mean? So that wasn't called for that kind of opening. The setting. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we did a lot of jazz dancing, Watermelon Man, and all kinds of stuff.
What would jazz dancing? Can you describe the kind of stuff you would do when you would do the jazz dancing?
It would be just dancing, like dancing, like here and there, and the glamour and the turns, and yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That was fun. It was all great. I mean, like, I wouldn't give it up for nothing. I wouldn't. No.
The reason why I asked is I think a lot of our listeners who are in the modern Lindy Hop scene would think of jazz dance as like maybe solo dancing with like Charleston and Susie Q's and like that kind of like.
We did
a lot of mixing of those kind of steps.
I mean, like we did the Charlestons, like we did the Charlestons in the group and stuff like that. And then other jazz dancing was like a form of ballroom dancing. We did some Gigi and David did ballroom dancing, and Edward and them. And it was just, the jazz now is different from the jazz then. The different eras. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the different eras. Because let me make a good example. Okay, just like they say, okay, around the back. Now they got another name for round the back now. I can't. Yes, they don't call it round the back. I forgot what they called it. And when I first heard it, I was like, "No, that's round the back." So it's the same thing, just the different name.
Yeah.
Or a different same move, but people put the different names or their little name, and that's fine. Like, hey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah.
that's something that we see a lot in our cultures and Black cultures. Is like we have these names, and then with the different eras or different locations, they might adjust a little bit. And so we're moving in similar ways, but we're calling them different things.
Yes. Same move, different name.
Yeah.
Different era.
Yeah. When you were talking about jazz dancing, what music were you dancing to? Like, what were some of the songs? That might sound like a dumb question because maybe the assumption is jazz, but
it was jazz, like bassy, depending on the dance. We did one thing called Watermelon Man, and it was a song called Watermelon Man. So we did the song with the dance. The jazz back then was like bassy and to me, and nothing that was, let me see, like big band music.
Yep. All right.
Or that because I still kind of grew up in that era.
Yeah.
So that's what I seen. Okay. Then it started to change. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, because you're right. Like, even when we think about jazz music, right? Like, there's some people who think about immediately think about bassy, but then there are others that might think about like, oh man, there's what's that name? Like more smooth jazz. Like there's a particular song I'm trying to think of that's like an iconic jazz tune, but that's like not
there's different categories.
Not the jazz we're talking about.
Exactly. There's the main part is jazz, but under the jazz label, there's different categories that people point out as jazz from their point of view.
Right.
See, but our jazz is like, you listen to our jazz now, they talk about, oh, that old stuff. No, for real, like the kids, like, like, oh yeah, that's old. That's old school. My mom, that's old. Oh no, we don't do that. Okay, so different time, different era.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.